The hydroponics bay of the Meridian hummed with artificial life as Alex checked the nutrient levels in the algae tanks. 17 years aboard a deep space research vessel had taught him that routine was survival. The green-blue glow of the cultivation chambers reflected off his weathered face, casting shadows that made him look older than his 43 years. The ship's proximity alarm shattered the monotony. Captain Rodriguez to all stations. Unidentified vessel approaching, not responding to hails. Her voice carried the controlled tension of someone who'd seen too many encounters go wrong in the outer reaches. Alex sealed the tank and headed to his emergency station. Protocol dictated all non-essential personnel secure themselves during potential hostile contact. He just reached the corridor when the ship shuddered, not from weapons fire, but from something docking. The intruder alarm screamed. Alex's fingers moved automatically to the security panel, pulling up camera feeds. His breath caught. The airlock in Section 7 showed a figure unlike anything in the human database. Bipedal, yes, but with chitinous plating that shifted colors like oil on water, 4 arms ending in delicate manipulators, and a head that seemed almost crystalline in structure. The being moved with purpose through the Meridian's corridors, bypassing security doors with technology that made their systems look primitive. Alex tracked its progress on his tablet. It was heading toward the crew quarters, toward his quarters. He should have run to the safe room. Instead, something pulled him toward his cabin. The creature stood in his doorway when he arrived, its form too large for the human-scaled passage. Up close, Alex could see the subtle bioluminescence beneath its carapace, patterns that pulsed with what might have been communication or emotion. 3 of its eyes focused on him while the 4th scanned the room. "Do you recognize me, human?" The words came not from a mouth but seemed to form directly in his mind, vibrating through his skull in a way that made his teeth ache. Alex's hand remained on his emergency beacon, unactivated. Something about those eyes, the way they looked at him with an intelligence that transcended the usual predator-prey calculation of first contact scenarios. "Should I?" he managed. The being's colors shifted, deep purples flowing into warm ambers. "Titan, the collapse of Research Station Hadley, 22 standard years ago." The words hit Alex like decompression. Titan. God, he'd tried so hard to forget Titan. Station Hadley had been humanity's most ambitious project, a research outpost on Saturn's largest moon, studying the subsurface ocean for signs of life. Alex had been a junior xenobiologist, barely 21, enthusiastic and naive, until the ice shelf beneath the station had fractured during a cryoquake. The memory flooded back. Alarms, freezing methane atmosphere rushing through ruptured seals, the desperate evacuation, and in the chaos in one of the observation chambers already open to Titan's surface, something impossible, an alien child trapped beneath a collapsed support beam, its biosuit failing. Alex had seen it through the porthole while running for the escape pods. Everyone else had already evacuated the sector. Command was screaming in his ear to abort, that the structural integrity was gone, that he'd die. He'd gone in any way. The child had been small, fragile-looking despite its armored exterior. Its colors had been flashing panic red, cycling through patterns that felt like screaming even though he couldn't hear them through his helmet. The support beam was titanium, too heavy for him to lift alone. But the child's suit had been failing, its atmosphere venting into Titan's toxic environment. Alex had used the chamber's emergency jack, the one meant for equipment maintenance, rigging it at an angle he'd learned in engineering cross-training, pumping manually while his own suit's oxygen alarm wailed. The beam had lifted. The child had scrambled free. Then the floor had given way. Alex remembered falling, the child's colors changing to something bright, almost hopeful, before he'd hit the ice and blacked out. He'd woken up 3 days later in the hospital ship, told that a rescue team had found him in an emergency bubble on the surface. Someone had deployed it around him, saved his life, but there was no record of who. "That was you," Alex whispered, looking at the being before him. "You were the child." "I am Lisa, daughter of the Confluence Queen." The colors on her carapace shifted to patterns that somehow conveyed solemnity. "My mother rules 17 systems. We had been surveying your species, determining if contact was viable. I was foolish, wandered too far from our ship when your station failed." Alex's mind reeled. First contact. This was first contact, but personal, intimate in a way no protocol had ever imagined. "You saved me," he said. "The emergency bubble. A debt repaid is a debt acknowledged, but that is not why I am here." Lisa's form shifted, somehow seeming smaller, more vulnerable despite her obvious physical advantages. "I am here because my mother has decided. Your species is to be quarantined. Humanity will be contained to your current systems, prevented from further expansion. Your wars, your exploitation, your disregard for developing species, the confluence has judged you too dangerous." The words were a death sentence for humanity's future. The expansion projects, the colony ships already en route to distant stars, the dream of humanity among the cosmos, all of it ending before it had truly begun. "But you said you owe me nothing," Alex said slowly. "I owe you nothing, but my mother owes you everything. I am her only heir, the continuation of our genetic line. In our culture, saving the heir creates a bond of obligation between houses." Lisa's colors cycled through complex patterns. "I have argued for you, human, not for your species but for you personally. My mother has granted an audience." "An audience?" "You will speak for humanity. You will have one chance to convince the Confluence Queen that your species deserves to walk among the stars. If you fail, the quarantine stands for 10,000 of your years. If you succeed—" The colors on Lisa's carapace shifted to something Alex couldn't interpret. "You will determine the future of your entire species." Alex felt his legs weaken. He'd spent 22 years trying to forget Titan, trying to be just a botanist, just a man growing algae in the dark. And now this. "Why me? I'm nobody. There are diplomats, politicians, people trained for this." "Because," Lisa said, and her colors shifted to something warm, something that felt almost like the memory of gratitude. "You saw a child dying and decided that was more important than your own survival. You saw a being unlike yourself and chose compassion over calculation. If humanity is worth saving, it is because of humans like you. If humanity is to be judged, it should be by humans like you." Through the porthole behind Lisa, Alex could see her ship, a structure of impossible geometry that seemed to exist in more dimensions than his eyes could properly track, dwarfing the meridian like a whale beside a minnow. "Your crew is unharmed," Lisa continued. "They are simply experiencing localized temporal dilation. For them, this conversation will seem to last mere seconds. For you, you must decide now. Will you come? Will you speak for humanity?" Alex thought of the colony ships, full of families seeking new worlds. He thought of the research teams, the explorers, the dreamers. He thought of humanity's flaws, its cruelties, but also its capacity for wonder, for growth, for that moment of choice when you could save a life even if it cost your own. He thought of a young man on Titan, pumping an emergency jack while his oxygen ran out, doing it anyway because it was right. "I'll come," he said. Lisa's colors brightened to something that might have been joy or relief. "Then we leave immediately. Gather nothing. You will need nothing. Only your words, human. Only your truth." As Alex followed the alien queen's daughter toward her impossible ship, he realized that his entire life had been leading to this moment. Every choice, every act of compassion or cowardice, every time he'd chosen to help or to turn away, all of it had been preparing him to speak for humanity at the edge of the stars. The Meridian crew would find him gone, would report him abducted. Earth would panic, would mobilize. But that was a problem for later. Right now, Alex had one job, to convince an alien queen that humanity deserved its place in the cosmos. He touched the walls of Lisa's ship and felt them hum with life, with technology so advanced it seemed like magic. Somewhere ahead, a queen awaited judgment. And Alex, simple botanist, carried the future of his entire species in his words.